Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. I have a little short news to give y'all on tonight. Um, Chicago have received more than 3,000 immigrants from Texas border. And they were very welcoming. So when immigrants got off that bus, they was very welcoming to every last one of them that got off that board. So the more than 3,000 immigrants are given immediate assistance upon their arrivals in Chicago. Because they give them food, they give them shelter and everything. So the city of Chicago had welcomed more than 3,000 immigrants from Texas border with open arms. This stated that it has a responsibility to provide food and shelter. So on Friday, today, the city welcomed 28 new arrivals. So they already had 3,000. Then they had new arrivals, which was 28. So that's good. The state of Chicago is welcoming immigrant, also giving them food and shelter. So the immigrant had been bused to Chicago over the last several weeks as part of Texas governor. So Greg Abbott Operation Lone Star in an effort to respond to the raising border crossing a scrimmage to open border policy. So a group of immigrants, who arrived on the bus, from Texas, are giving cheeseburger. So there is providing food and shelter for immigrants. So that's amazing. That's a good thing as they prepare to take a CTA bus to Salvation Army shelter on August 31st, in Chicago. So this was August the 31st. So they've been busing, immigrant been busing in Chicago, and they've been welcome homes. You know, Abbott had promised to send immigrants to a sanctuary, cities such as Chicago. So they went to the right place and because they're treating them very well. Chicago Mayor Lord Lightfoot slammed Texas Governor Abbott as a man without any moral after sending immigrant busing. So immigrants have been busing to Chicago, and Chicago been welcoming them with open arms. Now, according to the busing policy, the rise from Texas to sanctuary city such as Washington D.C., Chicago, and New York are free and volunteer. So Chicago they volunteer. The immigrant was busted in Chicago. They hurry up and just jump on and start feeding them food, giving them a shelter to stay. So press release on Saturday, public affair director, with the city, Department of Family and Support Services. They said that the city of Chicago had been responsible to provide shelter, food and medical care for each individual and family, many of whom walk hundreds of miles, great, danger through multiplied countries, multiple countries. So, in pursuit of safety and operation in the United States, so Chicago been a great help to the immigrant. Because immigrant they just been busting and drop off, been on crowded boats, so it's good to have a state that welcoming them, feeding them, giving them a shelter to stay. So immigrant board a charter bus traveling to Chicago outside the immigrant welcome center in in Texas. So upon arrival in Chicago, the immigrant are given immediate shelter and support as well as a case of management. You know, and access to the city, country, state, and community-based state organization. So Illinois, uh, they also welcome, a welcoming state. You know, do try. We are committed to assisting each family and individual provide, homes and services with respect and dignity. We have Chicago, we have Illinois, two states that is very welcoming, for these immigrants that being busted, they're being busted to Chicago, you know, and they've been welcoming them with open arms, feeding them, man, and giving them a shelter to stay at, So I think that's amazing that they didn't step forward and not push them away. That they are still helping and being nice and kind to them, So we talking about this about Chicago being nice and welcome a good Samaritan to these immigrants, feeding them and giving them a shelter to live. So I think that's amazing that they are being welcoming. And also Illinois is also being welcoming. A welcoming state. That's good. Cause the first immigrant was just being dropped off and just tossed away. So now they got the inner states that really care and taking care of them. You know, so that's a good idea. That's good that Chicago are taking care of the immigrant, giving them somewhere to stay, feeding them, and everything else. So that's all. And then they got three. They said for the several weeks, immigrant been busting in Chicago. So they being a good Samaritan. So that's good. 3,000 immigrants already have arrived to them, and then 28 new arrivals had arrived with them, and they doing an excellent job taking care of these immigrants. So that's all the show news I have for y'all today. Y'all have a blessed night, and I see you on the next video.